Lawmaker is hoping a bill they've proposed in the Minnesota House could finally legalize sports betting in the state. Reps Leash Kozlowski and Cedric Frazier from New Hope co-authored a bill that would allow Minnesota's 11 tribal nations to offer sports betting. A similar bill was proposed last session, but time ran out before it could be voted on. Rep Kozlowski said they have seen lots of interest for legal sports betting on both sides of the aisle and decided to bring the bill to the House again this year. Kozlowski added that if this bill is passed, it's estimated to bring in $88 million in profit, which would be split among the tribal nations and the state. Kozlowski thinks this bill has a chance because it honors native sovereignty and includes safeguards to keep those who are betting safe.
We've seen the consequences of inadequate regulations in other states, and so we've had the opportunity to be able to look and learn.
Some of those safeguards would include access to mental health and addiction programming. The bill would also limit advertising to minors. The bill has a few more stops before a possible final vote.
A new